I'm super excited about today. I got Jimmy Roper with me, and Jimmy and I go way back to my time in Kentucky where he lived and where we met at Asbury University. Jimmy, if it's okay, you're familiar with the Wesley here at Southern Miss. You were our speaker for our spring retreat. We got you lined up for our fall mystery trip to be our speaker. If you don't mind, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, man. I'm super excited. First and foremost, thanks for letting me join in on this. But secondly, I can't wait to get to the fall retreat. It's gonna be a great time. I'm excited to see all of you guys again, and just be with you all. It's gonna be a great time. But yeah, just like you said, man. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, born and raised there. Went to school in Michigan and transferred to Asbury, where I played basketball at both places. That's where I met you, and just like life began, my goal and my plan was to head back home to Detroit and be back with my mom and my brothers. But then I met my wife, and she tracked me. So, so I've been here in Kentucky since 2012, and yeah, we got two beautiful biological kids. We have a beautiful adopted daughter and a beautiful grandson as well. So we are all over the place. When we adopted my 14-year-old daughter, she was a teen mom at the time, and her son was 9 months. So we became parents and grandparents all in one day. And so yeah, that was some stuff to take on, and some learning curves. And then now we're funked over that we have two. So my oldest daughter just had a son again. So we had two grandchildren, and then now she's pregnant again. So I'm three grandchilds in, bro. It's wild. So yeah,
Family's growing, man.
growing.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
beautiful. That's beautiful. And, Jimmy, I got to ask a big question for you.
Okay.
So, how do you feel about LeBron making the move to the six? Like, where are you at, man?
I will say that this is probably the most excited for NBA basketball than I've been in a long time.
Okay.
Because when we grew up, like Allen Iverson, Kobe, all those guys, like now, I mean, Allen Iverson was the only reason I ever even picked
Mm.
up basketball, and I was watching him play. So I had Philly everything. Like it was even when the sleeves wasn't a thing, I used to cut my socks and like make a sleeve and like do all the things that Allen Iverson did. And so I mean, before I went bald, I used to have braids. Like
Nice.
I was. And so yeah, so now it's like, man, I'm like, I don't really have a team. Of course, Detroit Pistons, like those are my guys, but like nowadays, like it's nobody to cheer for except for LeBron. And I'm like, and he's going back to Philly. So I'm like, let's go. Like I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
Hey, things got mixed up real quick.
Real quick, real quick.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, man. I thought it was gonna be this, Golden State. I thought that was the direction, and I was a little disappointed, man. I was excited. I was like, oh man, this is about to be a run for the Warriors. Here we
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
So
Yeah. I'm excited for it, man. It's gonna be a good season, fun season for sure.
good,
Yeah.
good. Well, just to dive off into our conversation this morning and just I think your wisdom, your life experience, your outlook, I think you bring a lot to this conversation of when life doesn't go as planned. And particularly, we're zooming in to college students and that college life. And so, what did you imagine your life, as a college student? What did you imagine your life would be like as a college student?
Yeah, man. I think that my whole college experience is something that I didn't even write for myself at all. So it's again, just statistically and everything like that. Growing up in Detroit, like that wasn't a thing that was for me. In my mind, I just wanted to graduate high school and just have an opportunity to go work for a place that was just going to provide money. Like just what I knew. Detroit is just that grind type of city where you just gotta keep your head, keep your nose clean, and you know what I'm saying, you go and work and you just work yourself until you can't work no more. And then God was just like, no, like I got something totally different for you. And so I was called to ministry at 14 where I had a pastor prophesy over my life and say, hey man, you're gonna be a pastor one day, preacher. And I was just like, yeah, no, I'm not. Like, that's not what I was thinking. That was 14-year-old me. And then shortly after that, man, I had a couple colleges started recruiting me for basketball. And I'm just like, I don't want to go to college. Like I don't know nothing about it. School is not my thing, like at all. And so yeah, so even the whole college experience is just like something that I never even thought to write for myself at all. And my whole dream was, all right, well, now I'm going to go to college, and after college, I'm gonna go play pro basketball, like, because college is just a stepping stone. So that's what I'm going to do. And it felt like the more and more that I kept trying to run away from what God called me to, the more I was running to what God was calling me to.
Mm,
So that's what led me at Asbury, and that's kind of like where everything happened. It was like a Jonah in a well situation where I was just in this well and just my back against the wall, and I'm just like, God, like you're telling me to go to Nineveh, and I don't want to go. Like I'm not trying to go there at all. Like I know what this is about. Like I don't want to do it. It's not in me. I don't think. And when I got there and my back against the wall, God started pulling people like you and Coach Shouse and like all these different people in my life that was like puzzle pieces to what God was
mm,
doing. And here I am, 10
mm.
years, 10 years into ministry, laughing at 14-year-old Jimmy. So
So, Jimmy, what are you doing exactly right now?
yeah, yeah. So I am the student pastor at Grace Christian Church here in Georgetown, Kentucky. But I've been blessed to go and speak at so many different conferences and events and be with you guys and stuff. So God is calling me into a different phase of ministry right now that I'm like really excited for. So, but yeah, right now I'm in student ministry right now and doing great. It's been good watching what the Holy Spirit has been doing with these students. Yeah.
Wow. I just watching the arc of your life from, where we met and just where you are now, it's very evident that God has been placing, like you said, puzzle pieces along the way. And it's really evident that, where you're at in life and what's been going on, it's there, God's puzzle pieces. And so just in relation to, where we're moving through when life doesn't go as planned. And was there ever a season when life didn't go the way you expected what would happen? Was there, and it's, you want to zoom into college if you want to, and maybe a little bit after college, you got prepared, getting puzzle pieces, but just a season where life didn't end up where you thought it was going to be heading.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, man, I think that even the whole college story, like again, for me, again, I was in Michigan getting ready to play basketball there and like just doing stuff and like everything was going well. And then eventually, I mean, here I am in Detroit where, I mean, the percentage is like 80 to 90% African American black. Like that's all I knew, right? And so any other race or anything like that, I just was not expecting. So when I got to Asbury, it was just like a slap in the face, like, okay, this is finding Waldo situation. Like it was a little bit different, a little bit different. But it was a cool experience because in that setting, I was just like, man, this is not where I was supposed to be. I didn't feel like I fit in. I didn't feel like there was a lot of different things that was just kind of going against me
Mhm,
that I just didn't think. I'm like, God, like I don't think this is where you wanted me to be at. And so, I struggled. I mean, my first year at Asbury, like I struggled my first year with
mhm,
grades and just all those things because I was just in my head a lot.
mm.
It's because I didn't feel home, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was a lot of just wrestling back and forth where I was just like going back and forth with shouts, like I'm going back home, like I just can't be here, like I need to go back home and I was just like, I'm gonna just work and then let's just see what happens, right? And it was just like a lot of that. Like school was just very hard for me. Like it has always been, but it was just very hard in that setting that I've never experienced before. And I was thinking to myself that I was just like, man, God, if this is where you called me to be, I think it would be a lot easier than this, where it was not. And God showed me that it wasn't. And so, yeah, I was not expecting that at all. Was not
Wow.
expecting, and here I am on the other side of it, and I'm just looking back and just seeing where God's hand has been in that entire scene. Yeah.
So, well, like, you went to Coach Shouse, and I'm sure you went to others. What was something that Coach Shouse said to you in those moments of just pressure and the wilderness? What was
Yeah.
something he said to you?
Yeah, I would never forget it, man, and I mean, I talk to Shouse twice, 3 times a week, but one thing that I always loved that he said and that has stuck with me ever since was that, "Man, I don't know what God has sent you here for, but we're gonna figure it out." And that stuck with me so much because I was just like, man, I don't know why God sent me here. Like, why would he? And I'm like, again, I look back at that and I'm just like, I see why now, and like there's so many different avenues I could have gone, like so many different, ventures. I think we all have different paths that we can go. But I think the ultimate thing is like whatever path you do, as long as God has been glorified in that, all that matters. And so yeah, but like God just called me into that season and that proximity with the people that was there. And I think that in that moment where I was just back against the wall, shouts, God placed those words, the Holy Spirit placed those words in Coach Shouse's mouth and said, "Hey, listen, I don't know why God sent you here, but we're gonna figure it out." And there it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big word, right? We.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't Jimmy's gonna figure this out,
Right.
by yourself. It's a community. You got people in your life that are there. It's a we. They're journeying with you. I think that's probably the big thing that I'm kinda tapping on over these next few weeks for college students as they're beginning this, new season of college.
Yep.
Find your Christian community. Find the we and, ones that are gonna be able to speak into your life and move it, in the direction toward Jesus.
Yeah.
How did that experience affect your relationship with Jesus? Guy coming from Detroit, didn't think it was me in college and education, and you had this call on your life at 14 years old. But how did that moment, also all these little moments, like how did that affect you and your relationship with Jesus?
Man, just to show you how crazy I am and the crazy mindset that I had. And I was like thinking about this. When I was in Detroit, like that's where I felt most comfortable. Now, again, growing up from the time that I was a baby until, I mean, even now it's still kind of rough, but to the time that I left, it was still considered the murder capital, compared to Chicago, Memphis, like all these other places. I felt more safe there than I did when I came to Asbury. And Asbury is the most peaceful place ever. But like it was like I was always doing something in Detroit, always had those mindsets. But there it was at Asbury, I had time to just sit and rest with the Lord and really just have like face to face just conversation like God, like if this is where you want me to be, like I need this to be evidently clear. I need this to be so clear. It was just like the wrestling back and forth of again going back to Detroit because it was like, man, I'm here in Asbury. I'm here. Feel like this has been the worst season of my life, and like it was just the struggles that I was going through with school and sports and getting to know people and just all these different things that I was dealing with that. I'm like, man, I don't know, God, what you're doing. And right now, I'm not doubting my faith. I'm not doubting anything, but I'm doubting your decisions that you're helping me make.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that was a big thing for me. Was just like the wrestling, and the more and more that I kept doing that and wrestling with God and like talking with him and having those conversations, and again going back to the community aspect, seeking mentors and
Mhm.
people that can pour into my life. That's what helped me realize it was just like, man, God isn't putting you through anything that you can't handle, but more so for you to persevere. And this is producing character and this is producing so much perseverance and so much of other things that you don't even see or realize yet. So yeah, man, that's where the wrestling with Jesus was very tough during that season.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Would you change that? Like, if
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't think I would, man. I don't think that there would because again, it has built my relationship with him so much more to where I fully rely on him and that I can fully surrender my situations, my things, and anything that I'm dealing with, anything that I'm not either good, bad, if I'm successful, unsuccessful, if I'm a failure, if like all these things that I can look at on my plate and in my
Mm.
life. God, this is all of yours,
Mm.
regardless of what it looks like. This is me surrendering it all to you. And if I can have people look at me and see you, that's all that I care about.
Mm. Well, you kinda led me into this our next question with Paul in Philippians, and he's in prison, and he writes the words, "For to me to live is Christ." What do you think allowed Paul to have that kind of perspective even when the circumstances were difficult? I mean, you
Yeah.
kinda talked about difficult circumstances, right? So,
Right.
like, for Paul and then also for yourself and others, like, in the midst of something difficult, how can you have a perspective of, For me to live, it is Christ.
Yeah, yeah. I think that, man, you look at Paul, right? He was a person that was killing Christians and killing people that was believing in Jesus, and then he transforms his life and has this encounter with Christ and transforms his life. And then he gets in prison and now he's helping Gentiles and people trying to understand who Jesus was and, building these churches and like helping these churches. And now he's in prison for loving Jesus too much, right? He's being persecuted because
Mm,
he's helping people do all these things and going out casting out demons and like praying and stuff like that. So he's doing everything that God is calling him to do. And then now he's in this place in prison. And I think about myself, I'm just like, man, there's so many different times where, again, my back is against the wall. And like the last thing I do is want to help somebody else, right? And where each think, man, this is where my thoughts are. But I think that Paul is in this setting and in this sitting, he's just like, man, I know because if you finish that verse, it's like, man, for me to live is for Christ, and for me to die is to gain. Like,
mm,
I'm longing for heaven. Like, I'm going to always long from heaven. I'm longing to be with my Father. I'm longing to be with Jesus. I'm longing to be in that space because I won't have to worry about pain, tears, struggles, none of that. Like, I'm looking forward to that. But if I'm here in my body in the physical form, man, every situation that I have, every circumstance, everything that I'm dealing with, people are going to see Jesus. Like
yes.
people are going to see Christ. They're going to understand who Christ is. And if there's somebody that's struggling to understand who Christ is, I'm going to let them know who Jesus
Mm,
is and what he did on the cross.
mm,
So I think Paul is in this beautiful surrender, this beautiful slavery almost in
mm,
this of just like, man, God, like I'm longing to be with you, but I know that I still have a purpose here, and I'm going to continue to show who Jesus is through my struggles, my imprisonment, my sin, like all this stuff that I'm struggling with. People are still going to know you,
mm,
and so I think that that's a beautiful thing that we can see, a beautiful imagery.
mm.
Uh,
And then what is to live is Christ? What does that look practically in a college student's life, dealing with grades, relationships, pressure, loneliness, figuring out their own just future next step? What does that look like? What are some practical things?
Yeah, yeah, man. I think that it's again finding that community. That's number one because again, the more and more you find community, find your peers that's on the same page as you, and that's what Jesus did. So it's just all the disciples that he had, and all the things that he had. All those people was around him and surrounding him, and so they were all like minded, right? They were all from different backgrounds, different circumstances, but they all was on the same mission, and so that is what helped with that. So I think having that around, also too, like when things are tough, you can lean on that community and you can lean on those mentors and you can lean on your church and that local church. And to also know that, man, that's not going to be a thing where it's the end if things get
Yeah.
hard, right?
Yeah.
In every conversation and all your actions and everything that you do, man, let it produce Jesus, right? Let it produce the fruit of the spirit. And I think that the more and more we realize and look at that, man, the better for a college student, and I think that that'll help them so much, so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. 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 Well, I'm going to bring us to their, big final question, the sending question. If you had someone sitting across from you right now, they're entering their freshman year, they're transferring, or they were coming back to the campus who already feel that their plans are falling apart. They lost the scholarship, the housing isn't working out, the roommate, the major they thought they were going to have, all those things, like even getting to college, their ride to college. What would you tell them if they were in the midst of feeling that all the things were falling apart? How would you encourage them?
Yeah, yeah, man. I immediately think of Paul when he said that, and I can't remember the specific verse, but he talks about being pressured, but not, it's that big verse. I can't remember exactly what it was, but regardless of all the things that we go through and the things that may seem like a struggle for us, some things that seem like, man, we can't get out of this dark place and trying to seek the light, man, no matter what those things are, man, you still have God that's walking with you. You have Christ that's holding your hand through every situation, sitting on the edge of your bed when you're sleeping and rubbing your back when you are feeling like you are alone and in a dark place and depressed or going through these mental issues, whatever it may be, man, you have Christ right there holding your hand, rubbing your back, wiping your tears. I mean, just loving you in spite of all the things. So regardless of that, man, you are still
Mm,
pushing and moving forward. You
mm.
got breath in your lungs, man. Keep pushing. Yeah,
And you really began it with the we statement and just that we like you're not and that's with Jesus too.
mhm,
That's
yeah,
also a communal thing, relationship as you're feeling that pressure. Jesus is there. That's a great imagery for somebody to experience. Well, Jimmy, man,
yeah,
I deeply appreciate your time and sharing a little wisdom. Look
yeah,
forward to the fall mystery trip
yeah.
and
It's gonna be great.
mystery where we're going. Who knows? It could be Florida, it could be Texas, it could be North Carolina, Tennessee, it could be anywhere in between.
Yeah,
But we're excited for you to lead us and bring us some wisdom.
can't wait, man. Looking forward to it. Can't wait to see the guys and everybody. So it's gonna be a great time.
Awesome. Thanks. Jimmy, thanks, man.
All right, appreciate you.